Ethan Cole walked into the Grand Hall of Concord Station with a calm smile on his face, unaware that his entire life was about to change because of that one simple habit. The hall was enormous, shining with soft blue lights that reflected off polished metal and transparent crystal walls. Delegates from dozens of alien civilizations moved around in flowing robes, armor, or strange floating platforms. Everyone was here for the Interstellar Concord Summit, one of the most important diplomatic events in the galaxy. Humanity had joined the Concord only 8 months earlier. They were still new, still learning traditions, still adjusting to how huge the galaxy truly was. Ethan was chosen to represent Earth because of his soft personality and easy smile. He was calm, friendly, and good with words. Even when people shouted or argued, he stayed relaxed. Many believed that made him perfect for diplomacy. Ethan believed it made him boring. But he was here, trying his best for humanity. His team had told him to walk confidently, make eye contact, shake hands if allowed, and smile when appropriate. So when Ethan passed a group of Valkyrie warriors, he did exactly that. He gave a polite, friendly smile. Shia Ren of the Valkyrie saw it. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with silver blue skin that shimmered under the lights. Her eyes were sharp like polished steel, and she carried herself with the weight of someone used to command. Her armor gleamed with battle marks, not damage but symbols of honor. She was known as one of the youngest commanders in Valkyrie history. Many feared her. Many respected her. And no one, absolutely no one, expected a human to walk past her, look directly into her eyes, and smile. Her heart froze, her breath caught. To her people, such a smile wasn't just a smile. It was a symbol, a signal, a declaration, a choice, and Ethan had just made that choice. Shia Ren stepped forward so suddenly that several nearby aliens jumped back. Ethan stopped walking, confused. Her shadow fell over him, and he blinked up at the tall warrior. She placed her hand on his shoulder with strength and care, and spoke in a voice that echoed across the hall. "This human has chosen me. This man is mine." The hall went silent. 100 pairs of alien eyes turned toward Ethan. Some eyes glowed. Some had vertical pupils. Some had no pupils at all. But all of them stared. Ethan froze like a statue. His smile vanished instantly. "Huh, excuse me?" he whispered, unsure if he heard correctly. But the Valkyrie commander did not take her hand off his shoulder. Her posture was firm, serious, proud, like she had just received the greatest honor of her life. She looked around the hall, as if daring anyone to challenge her claim. Whispers spread through the room like a wave. A Valkyrie bond claim. But humans just joined the Concord. Is he serious? Does he understand what he just did? Several alien delegates began recording the moment. Others stepped back to avoid accidental involvement. Everyone knew how Valkyrie traditions worked. Everyone except Ethan. A diplomatic assistant from the human team, a young woman named Mira, rushed forward with panic written all over her face. "Commander Shia Ren," Mira said carefully. "I think there is a misunderstanding. The human smile is..." Shia Ren raised her hand, silencing her. The gesture wasn't aggressive. It was simply a firm signal of authority. "There is no misunderstanding," she said confidently. He looked into my eyes. He smiled. He chose me. I accept. Ethan wanted to disappear. He wanted to turn invisible. He wanted to go home. But he was trapped under the warrior commander's hand, and everyone was watching. "Wait. Wait," Ethan said, trying to stay polite. "Humans smile at everyone. It's normal for us." 8. Shia Ren frowned slightly. "A smile carries great meaning. Do you not know your own customs?" Ethan blinked. We don't use it that way." The warrior looked confused, as if the idea was strange or impossible. For Valkyrie, a bonding smile with direct eye contact was sacred. It was never used carelessly. It marked the start of a lifelong partnership, romantic, loyal, and permanent. Other delegates whispered even louder now. "Humans are reckless. They do not understand the meaning of their gestures. This could turn into a cultural disaster. Mira tugged Ethan's sleeve. We need to go. Right now. Mira. Right now. But Xiaren stepped forward again. He stays with me. He is under my protection. Every security guard in the hall froze. No one wanted to challenge her. Ethan raised his hands slowly. Commander. I appreciate your, kindness. But I think we really do have a misunderstanding. I didn't intend to choose anyone. Xiaren tilted her head, studying him. Instead of being offended, she looked puzzled, like she was trying to solve a difficult puzzle. You smiled at me, directly. Humans do not smile like that to anyone else? She asked. We smile like that to everyone, he answered quickly. The Valkyrie commander's expression shifted from confusion to surprise. Everyone? Yes, Ethan said, nodding quickly. It's normal. Really normal. Xiaren looked around at other humans in the distance. She stared at them closely. They were smiling at other aliens. They were smiling while talking to each other. They were even smiling at floating drones as they passed. Her shoulders straightened. She removed her hand from Ethan's shoulder. It seems I must learn more about human habits, she said quietly, but her voice was still heavy with honor. But until I understand fully, I cannot release him. Ethan's eyes widened. Wait, what? Mira groaned into her hands. Suddenly, 3 Concord security officers approached. They were tall, insectoid creatures with smooth chitin armor and glowing markings. One of them stepped forward and bowed politely. Commander Xiaren, Earth Representative Ethan Cole must be escorted for diplomatic clarification. The Council requests immediate review. Xiaren narrowed her eyes but did not argue. I will accompany him. The security officer hesitated. Only the human delegation is required. Xiaren stepped closer, towering over him. I will accompany him. The officer quickly bowed. Understood. Ethan whispered to Mira. Is she going to follow me everywhere? It looks like it, Mira whispered back, helpless. The small group started walking through the hall. Ethan tried to walk calmly, but Xiaren walked directly beside him like a protective guardian. Other aliens stepped out of her way quickly. Some watched with curiosity, others with amusement. One alien with 3 eyes muttered, Humans begin their first summit with a bonding scandal. Impressive. Another replied, At least they are entertaining. Ethan wanted to sink through the floor. He had never been so embarrassed in his life. He hadn't even been on the station 10 minutes, and he had already caused a diplomatic crisis. He tried glancing at Xiaren, but she noticed immediately and looked down at him with what seemed like genuine concern. Do not worry, she said. I will ensure no harm comes to you. I'm not in danger. He replied softly. You are now, she said seriously. Many will test you. A human who chose a Valkyrie? You will attract attention. I wish I didn't, he muttered. Xiaren blinked. You do not desire honor? I desire peace and quiet, he said. She seemed to think about that as if it were a strange and powerful concept. Finally, the group reached the diplomatic briefing room. It was small, with a round table and holographic projectors. Several human diplomats waited inside, all of them watching Ethan with a mix of fear and relief. The door closed behind them. Xiaren stood at the wall, refusing to leave. Mira whispered to the head diplomat. She won't go. The diplomat sighed. Of course she won't. Ethan sat down slowly. So, what now? The diplomat rubbed his forehead. Now, Ethan, we need to explain to the council why one of our new representatives accidentally declared a life bond with one of the most respected warriors in the entire Concord. It was just a smile, Ethan said weakly. And for Valkyrie, a smile is not just a smile. The diplomat replied. For them, it's a commitment. For them, you basically said, I choose you forever. Ethan covered his face with his hands. Oh no, Xiaren spoke up from the wall. I accept the bond. But I understand now that there is confusion. I will not force the human until the council has reviewed the situation. Reviewed? Ethan said. Reviewed how? The diplomat swallowed. They will decide whether this misunderstanding is harmless or a diplomatic offense. Offense? Ethan said. I didn't do anything wrong. In their culture, you did, the diplomat answered. Ethan leaned back in his chair, feeling the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. One smile. One tiny smile. And now the fate of humanity's reputation hung in the balance. Xia Ren looked at Ethan with a calm but determined gaze. Do not fear. I will speak on your behalf. You showed courage when you smiled at me, Ethan whispered. It wasn't courage. Xia Ren nodded proudly. Humility. Another good trait. Ethan stared up at the ceiling. This is going to be a long summit. And outside the room, the rumors were already spreading across the entire station. The human had chosen a Valkyrie. The human had made a bond. The human had changed everything. And Ethan Cole had no idea how much more trouble was coming. The atmosphere inside the Concord briefing room grew heavier with every passing second. Ethan Cole sat stiffly at the round table, trying not to make eye contact with anyone, especially not with the tall Valkyrie warrior standing near the wall like a silent guardian. Xia Ren's presence filled the room. Even without speaking, she radiated a sense of power and purpose. Her armor gave off a soft silver glow, and her focused eyes never left Ethan. Mira, the young human assistant, whispered nervously to the head diplomat. If the council takes this the wrong way, humans could be banned from the next summit. Or worse. The diplomat sighed deeply, pressing his hands together. Yes. And somehow Ethan managed this by simply smiling. Ethan groaned softly. Please stop saying it like that. You're making me feel like I caused the galaxy to explode. No, Mira said gently. But you did cause the galaxy to stare. Xia Ren shifted slightly, enough to make the room pause. She stepped forward and spoke in her calm, steady voice. I have already said I will not force the human into anything until the council reviews the situation. But understand this. A bonding gesture is not small among my people. We take it seriously because it comes from the heart. Ethan raised his hands weakly. I didn't mean to send any signal. Humans smile to show friendliness. We do it all the time. Xia Ren looked at him with curiosity, as if she were studying a new species for the first time. Your kind expresses so much with so little. It is confusing. Before Ethan could respond, the door opened, and a Concord messenger drone floated inside. Its small body glimmered with yellow lights as it hovered above the table. A calm, automated voice spoke. The Concord Council requests the presence of Representative Ethan Cole and Valkyrie Commander Xia Ren for a cultural clarification meeting. All other humans may accompany as observers. Everyone exchanged nervous looks. The diplomat stood. Ethan, stay calm. Answer clearly. And for goodness sake, try not to smile. Try not to smile. Ethan rubbed his face with both hands. I'll try. No promises. The group made their way out of the room and down the long corridors of Concord Station. The halls were full of alien delegates whispering and watching. Some had heard the rumor. Some had seen the moment with their own eyes. Some were already placing bets on whether Ethan would survive the summit without accidentally starting another cultural misunderstanding. Ethan kept his eyes forward, but he could feel curious stares follow him. Xia Ren walked just one step behind him, as if guarding him from every possible direction. Her presence was both intimidating and strangely comforting. At one point, a small cleaning drone rolled toward Ethan. Xia Ren immediately stepped between them, blocking the machine with her arm. The drone beeped in confusion and reversed direction. Ethan whispered. It was just cleaning the floor. Xia Ren replied. I will not allow anything to come close without my permission. Mira, walking beside them, whispered to Ethan. She is taking this very seriously. I noticed, Ethan whispered back. Finally, they reached the large council chamber. The doors opened slowly with a deep hum. The room inside was shaped like a circle, with dozens of alien counselors seated around a glowing central platform. Light blue holograms floated above each delegate, showing their species' symbols and diplomatic roles. Ethan swallowed hard as the humans entered the circle. Xia Ren walked beside him with pride in every step. A tall counselor with 4 shimmering wings addressed them. Representative Ethan Cole of Earth. Commander Xia Ren of the Valkyrie. Please step to the center. Ethan stepped forward nervously. Xia Ren remained at his side, hands behind her back, standing tall. Counselor Vixara, a crystalline being with shifting colors, began speaking. We have received reports of a bonding claim made between a human and a Valkyrie. We have gathered to understand whether this was intentional or a misunderstanding. Ethan cleared his throat. It was a misunderstanding. Completely. I didn't know that smiling with eye contact had meaning to the Valkyrie. Another counselor, a small creature sitting on a floating cushion, leaned forward. Do all humans smile like this? Yes, Ethan said. Mostly. It's normal for us. It means friendliness, politeness, comfort, not bonding. Several counselors murmured among themselves. So humans are constantly sending emotional signals without realizing it? One asked. Yes. Ethan answered again. We are emotional creatures. We show it without thinking. Marg. We show it without thinking. Xia Ren stepped forward. Council members, allow me to speak. The room fell silent. Xia Ren bowed her head respectfully. When I saw the human smile with direct eye contact, I believed he was making a bond request. It is rare, sacred, and serious among my people. But now I understand that humans show emotions differently. Their signals are not the same as ours. A large reptilian counselor tapped the table. Commander, does this misunderstanding offend the Valkyrie? Xia Ren took a moment before answering. No, I am not offended. I was surprised, honored, even. But now I see the truth. Ethan blinked. Honored? Xia Ren looked at him. Yes. You showed open emotion. You did not hide it. That is strength. Ethan felt his cheeks warm but forced himself not to smile. Counselor Vexara addressed Ethan again. Do humans have any traditions similar to the Valkyrie bonding practice? Ethan shook his head. Nothing the same. We show interest in many ways, but we don't have one universal sign for choosing someone. The counselors murmured again. This time, the tone was calmer. Another counselor asked, would humanity consider adapting cultural warnings or explanations to avoid repeats of this situation? Yes, Ethan said immediately. We will make a guide, a clear one, with pictures, lots of explanations. Several counselors chuckled softly. Xia Ren raised her chin. I also request that the council allows me to remain close to Ethan Cole until this situation is fully resolved. Several counselors looked surprised. Do the Valkyrie require this? Counselor Vexara asked. No, Xia Ren said. But I choose to. Humans are new, vulnerable. Many do not understand them. I wish to learn their ways while ensuring no one misreads the situation. Ethan blinked. Wait. Learn our ways? Xia Ren nodded. Yes. You smile easily. You show emotion honestly. I wish to understand such a species. Ethan wasn't sure whether to feel terrified or respected. The counselors whispered once again, but this time the tone was thoughtful rather than shocked. Finally, Counselor Vexara stood. The council has reached a decision. This incident is considered a cultural misunderstanding, not an offense. Humanity will not be punished, and the Valkyrie will not be insulted. Ethan exhaled with relief. But, Vexara continued, we encourage both species to communicate closely and avoid further confusion. Commander Xia Ren may remain near the human representative during the summit. Ethan stared at the floor. Of course she can. The chamber lights dimmed as the meeting ended. The humans and Xia Ren walked out together. Once outside the council chamber, Ethan finally let out a deep breath. That went better than I expected, Mira said. Xia Ren looked at Ethan. You spoke clearly. You showed honesty. That impressed the council. Ethan shrugged shyly. I just said the truth. She lowered her head slightly. Truth is a powerful thing. As they walked down the hallway, an alien ambassador approached them with a wide grin. Fascinating meeting. Humans are incredible. So emotional. So expressive. Ethan nodded politely. We try our best. And you, the ambassador said to Xiaren. You truly believed he chose you? Xiaren placed a hand on her chest. It is our way. If a gesture is made with the eyes and heart, we believe it. Ethan felt a little bad. I really didn't mean to mislead you. Xiaren turned to him. I know. That is why you are still alive. He almost tripped over his own feet. Still alive? She nodded calmly. A false bond request is a serious insult. But you had no knowledge. That makes it different. I respect honesty. Ethan swallowed hard. Good to know. They continued walking until they reached a small observation deck with a wide view of space outside. Stars sparkled like distant diamonds, and ships moved past the windows. Xiaren walked toward the glass and looked out quietly. Your galaxy is big, Ethan said softly, joining her. Xiaren nodded. Yes, but something small can still cause great change. Ethan gave a small laugh. Like my smile. Yes, she said. Your smile changed my day, my thoughts, my view of humans. Ethan stared at the stars. I hope it's a good change. Xiaren turned to him, her expression gentle for the first time. Yes, a good change. For the first time since the misunderstanding began. Ethan felt a little lighter. Xiaren wasn't angry. She wasn't dangerous. She was simply someone who took things seriously, maybe too seriously, but with honor and sincerity. And she genuinely wanted to learn about humans. Mira approached them. Ethan, we have a problem. Ethan sighed. What now? The rumor has spread across the entire station, Mira said. And now every alien wants to see the human who chose a Valkyrie. They're all waiting outside the summit hall. Ethan leaned his head against the glass. This day keeps getting longer. Xiaren put her hand on his shoulder gently. Do not worry. I will stand with you. Ethan gave a small nod. Thanks. He still didn't smile. He wasn't taking any more chances. But the story of the human who accidentally made a Valkyrie bond signal was already becoming the most talked about event in the Concord. And the summit had only just begun. The long corridors of Concord Station buzzed with noise as Ethan, Xiaren, Mira, and the rest of the human team walked back toward the main summit hall. News traveled fast on the station, but this rumor had traveled faster than anything the humans had seen so far. Delegates, bodyguards, diplomats, merchants, and even service drones paused at corners as the group passed. Some whispered behind their hands. Others stared openly. A small group of alien youths pointed at Ethan from a distance. That's him, one whispered. The human who bonded with a Valkyrie. Another added. I heard he challenged her in battle, a third one said confidently. Ethan dragged his hands down his face. Why do rumors grow so fast? Mira answered quietly. Because aliens like drama as much as humans. Xiaren walked beside Ethan, scanning every face, studying every movement. Anyone who stepped too close quickly moved aside when she glanced at them. She did not touch Ethan, not after learning his smile had caused trouble, but she stayed close enough that he felt protected in a strange way. When they reached the entrance to the summit hall, the crowd waiting there made Ethan's heart stop. There were at least 50 aliens gathered. Maybe more. Blocking the way, they stood in groups, leaving a narrow path only wide enough for 2 people. Some held recording devices. Some whispered in their own languages. Some stared at Ethan with wide, fascinated eyes. Mira whispered, Ethan, please don't smile. I'm not smiling, he said firmly. I'm trying not to faint. Xiaren stepped forward first, her voice sharp and commanding. Clear a path. The aliens moved immediately, but not away. They simply reshaped the crowd so they could observe more closely. Ethan tried not to make eye contact with anyone. He just kept walking. A large, furry alien bent down until its face was level with Ethan's. Human, you are brave. Ethan blinked. Thank you? Choosing a Valkyrie is bold. They are warriors. I didn't choose. Another alien interrupted. Tell us, how did you win her favor? I didn't win anything. Someone else asked, will humans and Valkyrie merge clans now? Ethan groaned loudly. Please, no more questions. Shia-Ren finally pushed forward and guided him into the hall. Once inside, the noise softened. The summit chamber was a huge circular room with floating holograms, long curved seats, and small glowing translation orbs. Delegates were seated in sections according to their worlds. Humans were given a smaller area compared to others, since they were new. When Ethan sat down at the human section, he felt like collapsing. Mira whispered, "Drink some water. I need a vacation," Ethan whispered back. The summit hadn't even officially started for the day, and he was already exhausted. Across the room, Shia-Ren took her place in the Valkyrie section. But she didn't sit facing the front. She turned her chair enough to watch Ethan from the corner of her eye. Not in a creepy way, more like a guard watching an important guest. Ethan pretended not to notice, but he felt her presence like a warm spotlight. Finally, the Concord Summit officially began. The speakers talked about trade routes, defense treaties, medical supply sharing, and mining rights. Ethan listened quietly, taking notes because he didn't know what else to do. Mira handled most of the diplomatic work while the others whispered strategies. Everything seemed calm for a while, but the universe wasn't done with Ethan. During a break between sessions, a tall alien wearing a flowing white cloak approached Ethan. He was noble-looking, with golden eyes and smooth, pale skin. He bowed slightly. "Representative Ethan Cole," he said softly. "I am Lizarin of the Selenari." Ethan nodded politely. "Nice to meet you," Mira whispered. "Be careful." Selenari nobles choose their words very carefully. Lizarin continued, "I have heard your story, human. You made a bond signal to a Valkyrie commander." Ethan shook his head. "Accidental bond signal." "Ah," Lizarin said with a gentle smile. "Then perhaps you should learn how different species interpret human gestures." Ethan sighed. "Yes. Please. Before I cause another disaster." Lizarin sat down beside Ethan. Mira watched closely, ready to step in if needed. "Humans show teeth when they smile," Lizarin said. "Did you know that some species interpret this as aggression?" Ethan winced. "Great. For others," Lizarin continued, "a raised eyebrow means challenge. A nod means surrender. A wave means fear. A wink means hostility." Ethan covered his head with both hands. "How do any of us communicate without starting wars?" Lizarin laughed softly. "Because most aliens understand that humans are expressive and emotional. But the Valkyrie are literal, direct. They take signals seriously. That is their honor." Ethan nodded slowly. "I understand that now." Lizarin's golden eyes flicked toward Shia-Ren. "She watches you closely. You interest her." Ethan nearly choked. "Interest? In what way?" "I'm just a guy who messed up." Lizarin smiled kindly. "Sometimes, strange beginnings form strong connections, even across species." Ethan shook his head quickly. "I'm not starting any connections. Especially not by accident." Before Lizarin could respond, a loud sound echoed through the hall. A deep voice boomed, "I challenge the human." Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. "What? Why?" A large alien with stone-like skin stepped forward, pounding a heavy fist into his chest. "I am Gorthal of the Gruntar. I have heard the Valkyrie commander has taken an interest in you. If you are worthy, you will stand." Mira shouted. "He doesn't accept." But Gorthal wasn't listening. Shia-Ren was across the hall in an instant. She stood between Ethan and Gorthal, her eyes sharp and fierce. "No one challenges the human," she said firmly. Gorthal growled. "If he chooses a Valkyrie, he must be strong." "He did not choose," Shia-Ren said. "It was misunderstanding." "Then he should prove his worth," Gorthal roared. Ethan stood up slowly, even though his legs were shaking. "I'm not fighting anyone." Gorthal thumped his chest. "Afraid?" Ethan raised his hands. "Yes, very afraid. Look at me. I'm not a fighter." the entire hall filled with murmurs. Shia-Ren stepped even closer to Gorthal. "I will not allow this. The human is under my protection." Gorthal stared at her. "Why? What does this small, soft creature mean to you?" Shia-Ren's voice softened, but stayed strong. "He showed honesty. He showed heart." The hall fell silent. Gorthal blinked. "Heart? That is all?" Shia-Ren nodded proudly. "Yes, heart matters." Ethan felt an unexpected warmth in his chest. Gorthal grunted. "Valkyrie are strange." Then he raised his massive arms. "I withdraw my challenge." The hall relaxed. Mira sat down with a loud sigh. Ethan nearly melted into the floor. Shia-Ren turned to Ethan and spoke quietly. "You must be careful. Many will be curious. Many will test you." Ethan nodded weakly. "I'm trying." Shia-Ren hesitated, then added. Before Ethan could respond, the break ended and the summit continued. But the atmosphere was different now. Everyone kept glancing at Ethan, whispering about his courage, his fear, his strange situation. Some admired him, some judged. Some simply found him entertaining. When the session finally ended for the day, Ethan was exhausted. His mind felt heavy. His legs felt like jelly. His heart was tired. Shia-Ren approached him as the hall emptied. "Ethan Cole." He looked up at her slowly. "Yes? You did well today." He blinked, surprised. "Really? You stood your ground. Even while afraid." "I stand better when I'm not about to be crushed," he said. Shia-Ren actually gave a small, rare smile. It was soft, almost invisible, but Ethan noticed it. "You are humorous," she said. Ethan sighed. "I'm trying to survive." Mira walked over. "We should return to the human quarters before someone else approaches him." Shia-Ren nodded. "I will escort you." Ethan rubbed his forehead. "Do you escort everyone like this?" "No," she said simply. "Only those who need protection." "Well," Ethan muttered, "I definitely need protection." As the group walked through the quiet halls, Shia-Ren slowed her steps to walk beside Ethan. She looked down at him with calm eyes. "Ethan Cole, do humans always feel alone when frightened?" He shook his head. "Not always. But right now, I feel confused." "Why?" "Because I don't know what tomorrow will bring, or what anyone expects from me." Shia-Ren nodded slowly. "Then you are not alone. I will help you." Ethan looked at her in surprise. She added quietly, "You showed me your smile. Even if by accident. I wish to understand it." Ethan didn't know what to say. The kindness in her voice felt real, strong, unexpected. A warmth filled his chest again. Not fear, something different. By the time they reached the human quarters, Ethan felt calmer. He turned to Shia-Ren. "Thank you for today." She bowed her head slightly. "You are welcome." "Ethan Cole." He nodded politely and entered the human quarters. As he sat down on his bed, staring at the shining ceiling lights, he whispered to himself, "This is becoming something big." Outside the door, Shia-Ren stood guard silently, watching the hallway with patient eyes. The summit wasn't over, and neither was the strange bond forming between a human who smiled too easily and a Valkyrie who took everything to heart. Ethan woke up early the next morning with a strange mix of calm and nervous energy inside him. The ritual was over. The misunderstanding was resolved, and the galaxy no longer saw him as someone who accidentally claimed a warrior leader. But even after everything was settled, his mind kept replaying the moment when Shia-Ren bowed to him. It had been a respectful gesture, something that showed she did not feel insulted. Instead, she felt honored. For a Valkyrie, that was rare and powerful. Ethan knew something had quietly changed between them. Even if no one said it out loud, he prepared himself for the final day of the summit. Today would decide the future of human relations with the interstellar Concord. Today was also the first time he would face everyone after surviving the ritual. As he walked through the glowing corridor of the station, he noticed more aliens staring at him than before. But this time, their expressions were not wary, or confused. They were curious, even impressed. Some nodded at him, a few smiled in their own alien way, with shifting colors or moving feathers. Ethan realized the story of the ritual had already spread everywhere. A soft metallic sound echoed behind him. He turned and saw Xia Ren walking toward him. She wore new ceremonial armor, decorated with sharp, bright patterns, showing strength and honor. But her face looked softer than usual, almost peaceful. "You are awake early for a human," she said. Her voice had that steady tone again, but without pressure or possessiveness. Ethan smiled politely. "Couldn't sleep much. Big day." She studied him for a moment like she was searching for something. "You stood alone in the ritual chamber without fear. That memory will follow you your whole life. Humans will speak proudly about you one day." He cleared his throat, embarrassed but grateful. "I just did what needed to be done. And thank you for accepting my words." Xiaoran nodded once, a gesture slow and respectful. "You spoke with truth. That is what matters most." They walked together toward the main hall, where the final gathering was taking place. The hall was huge, filled with soft lights, floating banners, and the quiet murmurs of different species. When Ethan entered with Xia Ren by his side, the room grew noticeably quieter. The delegates turned, watching them like something significant was happening. A few whispered to each other. Some even stepped back to give them a clear path. Ethan tried to ignore the attention, but it was impossible. He walked with his back straight, trying to show confidence. Xiaoran walked calmly beside him, neither too close nor too far. Not protective, and not distant, almost like she was letting everyone know the situation was peaceful now. The council chair, a slow-moving, crystalline being named Vorthal, raised its glowing hand for silence. "Delegates, today we finalize the agreements made during this summit. And before we begin, we acknowledge an event that has shaped our discussions these last 2 days." Ethan felt every eye in the room shift toward him. "The misunderstanding between human delegate Ethan Cole and Valkyrie Commander Xia Ren has been fully resolved," Vorthal continued. "The ritual was completed with honor, and both parties acted with great respect. This act has strengthened, not weakened, the bonds between our species." Soft applause and gestures of agreement filled the hall. Ethan felt his heartbeat steady a little. Xia Ren spoke next, her voice echoing confidently. "The Valkyrie recognize humans as a species that values sincerity, courage, and responsibility. My people appreciate those qualities. We look forward to working closely with humanity." This speech was a major moment. Several species exchanged surprised looks. A Valkyrie leader openly praising a new species was unusual and meaningful. Now it was Ethan's turn. He stepped forward, cleared his throat, and spoke with steady, simple words, just as he had practiced in his mind all morning. "On behalf of humanity, I want to thank all of you for welcoming us into the Concord. We are still new here, we still make mistakes, but we are ready to learn, to grow, and to stand beside you with respect. The last 2 days taught me something important. Misunderstanding can happen between any species. What matters is how we face it with honesty and courage." There was silence. Then, a wave of approval moved across the hall. Some tapped their staffs. Some made soft, vibrating sounds of agreement. Others brightened their colors in support. Ethan let out a slow breath. It felt like the weight on his shoulders had finally lifted. The gathering continued for hours as treaties were signed, alliances were strengthened, and new trade routes were discussed. Humanity officially entered into cultural exchange agreements with multiple species. The Valkyrie Treaty, however, was the most shocking for everyone. It promised cooperation in defense, science, and education. For a powerful warrior species like the Valkyrie, such a treaty was a very rare sign of trust. During the break between sessions, Ethan walked outside onto one of the observation balconies that faced the endless starfield. The view was stunning, a spread of bright galaxies and drifting nebulae glowing like colored smoke. He leaned against the railing and finally allowed himself to relax. Xia Ren joined him after a few minutes. She stood beside him silently, looking out at the same stars. "You handled yourself well," she said quietly. "Many would have run away or hidden. I felt like running," Ethan admitted honestly. "But that would have made everything worse." Xia Ren let out a soft laugh, a low, warm sound he had never heard from her before. "Humans are strange, weak in body, but very strong in spirit. It is confusing, but impressive." "Thank you, I think," Ethan said, smiling a little. She turned her head slightly. "You smiled again." He looked embarrassed. "Sorry, habit." "No," she said softly. "This time I understand." They both looked back at the stars. There was a quiet peace between them now. Not tension, not confusion, just calm respect. Ethan wondered what the future of humanity would look like now that they were part of the Concord. So many species, so many cultures, so many challenges. But for the first time, he felt ready. A few hours later, the summit ended. Delegates started leaving the hall, heading toward their ships. Ethan prepared to return to Earth with his team. But before he could leave, Xia Ren approached him one last time. "I will be visiting your world soon," she said. "The treaty requires cultural exchange. I look forward to learning from humans." Ethan nodded. "And I look forward to showing you Earth." "It's different," she gave a slow nod. "Different can be good." There was a moment of quiet between them. Not awkward, just meaningful. A moment that said their story was not over. It would continue in new places, under new stars. Finally, Xia Ren straightened her armor. "Until we meet again, Ethan Cole." "Until then," he said softly. She walked away with her warrior's stride, joining her Valkyrie guard. Ethan watched her go, feeling a small smile tug at his lips. Not the careless kind that caused trouble. A genuine one. His team called him over. The human shuttle was ready for departure. Ethan stepped inside, still thinking about the strange path his life had taken. One smile had changed everything. One misunderstanding had built a new alliance. One act of courage had earned humanity respect across the galaxy. As the shuttle flew away from the station, Ethan looked out the window. The stars stretched across the darkness like bright promises of the future. The Concord was big, complicated, and sometimes overwhelming. But now, it felt welcoming too. Humanity had taken its first real step into the larger galaxy, and somewhere out there, a Valkyrie warrior was waiting for their next meeting. Ethan smiled again, softly this time, to no one but himself. The future was bright, and it was only the beginning.